and welcome back to our channel. I'm Jennifer and this is Kate, and today we are doing some Catholic cooking. We officially start our Catholic Cookbook Challenge this month.
So what does that mean? Well, this year we're challenging ourselves to live more liturgically by trying one recipe from a different Catholic cookbook every month. We have a couple of different Catholic cookbooks on our shelves, but we don't really make the recipes from them very often.
So all that is about to change. We are up for an adventure on our channel anytime, so this should be interesting.
And today we're going to be making St. Antony of Egypt Soup, which is perfect because his feast day is coming up on January 17th.
And we're also making a pork chop casserole, and you might wonder why pork? Well, we'll get to that, but for now, let's just get started.
So the recipe today comes from this cookbook, 12 Months of Monastery Soups. So this one has 175 different soup recipes and has at least one recipe for every vegetable native to North America, which is interesting.
That is interesting. Not many cookbooks can claim that. So all the recipes are arranged by month, and it looks like there are some very unique recipes in here, but it also looks like a lot of them just use basic kitchen ingredients, stuff that you probably already have in your kitchen, so that's good.
And the book also has different inspirational quotes and illustrations, and it even has short biographies for the different saints. So it's a good one to have on your Catholic cookbook shelf.
We think.
That's what we're trying to prove today.
Yeah, we are going to attempt to prove that this is a good cookbook. So we'll see. Let's get cooking.
So we're going to start first with the soup. And the ingredients you need for that are olive oil, parsley, salt, bay leaves, barley, carrots, and leeks.
Of course, these are pretend leeks. These are almost leeks because I don't know how it is in your town, but in our town, the grocery shelves are pretty bare right now again because of the pandemic. So even though I went to 3 different grocery stores and then had other relatives scouring their shelves, no one could come up with a leek. So green onions it is. And we're also leaving out the mushrooms because
I don't like mushrooms, so I prayed upon her and we're leaving them out.
Mushrooms are optional. So to get started, we have to grate 3 carrots. And while we do that, let's talk about St. Antony of Egypt, who is also known as Anthony the Abbot or Anthony the Great, not to be confused with St. Anthony of Padua, finder of lost objects, different guy.
So we love them both, but St. Anthony of Egypt was very popular in the Middle Ages, and he was also a special favorite of my grandmother, who had him as her patron saint of the year a couple years ago, and she loves this guy.
Oh yeah, he is her absolute favorite. He is her go-to guy whenever she has any type of problem. He was born in 250 AD, but he lived to be over 100 years old out in the desert of Egypt. I guess that desert air is good for longevity. So anyway, how did he get there? When he was 18, he heeded Jesus' call in the gospel to sell all your possessions and come follow me. So for Anthony, that looked like selling everything he had, giving to the poor, and then going out to live in the desert, where he became one of the great fathers of monasticism. In fact, there's still a hermitage or a monastery out in the desert near to where Anthony lived. So I better get grading because Kay is doing all the work. So 3 carrots. Good arm workout, and we made a nice mess here, but now on to the next phase.
Next, we're adding the olive oil into the pot, and then we're mixing that with the barley and stirring it for a full minute. Then we're adding in the grated carrots, and after that we're putting in the green onion. Then we're putting in the dried parsley and stirring that all together. And now we're adding the water so it can become a soup. Then we're leaving that all to simmer, and of course, we are being watched.
While the soup is cooking, we are going to move on with our pork chop and potato casserole. This recipe I got from allrecipes.com, and I will link it down below for you. And you might wonder, why pork chops? Why pork? As it turns out, while Anthony was in the desert living his holy life of prayer, the devil really hated that. And so he would often appear to Anthony in the form of a pig and tempt him to give up his life. He would say, "Oh, this is so boring. Aren't you unhappy? You shouldn't work so hard. You should rest." So Anthony was tempted to be lazy, to be bored, to be discontent. But through prayer and the power of God, he was able to defeat the devil. So on his feast day, to symbolize his triumph over the devil, it's traditional to serve a pork dish, which I think is so funny. You know, Anthony definitely got the last laugh.
So what you need for this recipe is obviously pork, potatoes, cream of mushroom soup, cheese, an onion, and milk.
We're going to get started on the casserole by slicing the potatoes. The thinner, the better. If you have a mandolin, that would be ideal, but we don't. So Kate is going to attempt to slice them. Attempt as thinly as she can. And while she's getting started on that, you might wonder, how did St. Anthony overcome boredom in the desert? Well, it turns out that an angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "Hey, Anthony, if you're bored, why don't you take these palm branches and weave them into mats?" So that is what Anthony did in his spare time when he wasn't praying. He made mats. So next time your kids are bored, you can have them weave placemats.
Ooh, isn't that exciting?
It can be fun, right?
How do you do that?
It worked for a saint. You know those loom looper things, you know, get some of those and have them make
What are loom loopers?
So pot holders, you guys know what I'm talking about, you know, where you weave the colored, you know, yarn and it turns out to be like usually a really deformed placemat and you say, "Oh, it's so cute," and kids give them to parents for Mother's Day and Father's Day, that type of thing.
Okay.
So obviously first we're starting by cutting our potatoes, and again we're trying to get them as thin as possible so they'll actually cook in the oven. And then we're mixing the milk with the cream of mushroom soup to make a sort of sauce. And then we're starting the pork chops searing on both sides. And you can see here that they've done their time and they're seared. And then we're going to put the onions into the casserole dish along with the potatoes. And then we're going to mix those together. And then put the pork chops on top. And then the sauce goes over the whole thing. And it goes in the oven for 30 minutes at 400 degrees. And when it comes out, you put cheese on it, and then it goes back in the oven for another 30 minutes. And during this time, we also put some bouillon into the soup.
Okay, so the soup is done and the pork chops are starting to smell really good. But while we're waiting for them to catch up with the soup, let's talk some more about St. Anthony. So he's often shown with the pig because the pig represents the devil whom he defeated. But there's another tradition that says the pig represents the healing ointments that St. Anthony used to make from pig fat. He was known to be a healer, especially of skin diseases. So if you suffer from rashes or skin breakouts or even shingles, call on St. Anthony. In fact, he once healed a man who was dying of shingles, and so ever since then, shingles have been known as St. Anthony's fire, which if you've ever suffered from shingles, that is a very apt description.
So he's often pictured with the pig, an Egyptian towel cross, and a bell. A bell because he would ring a bell in warning when treating contagious diseases. And he's also often portrayed with a fire at his feet, and since he defeated the devil, it's another tradition on his feast day to light a bonfire.
And you might not know it, but he's also another big patron saint of animals. When he was out in the desert, he frequently had only the animals to keep him company. So he was very good to the animals and was very kind to them. And so he has become the patron saint of farm animals, which is kind of cool.
And what's really fun is that at the Vatican, on the eve of his feast day, you can bring your animals, literally any kind of animal, to St. Peter's Square and have them blessed by a priest.
And a lot of different parishes around the world have a blessing of the animals on his feast day. So again, he's just a super fun saint, and it's been fun to get to know him while we were cooking. So now, On to the taste testing. Okay, so now we're going to try the casserole, which does look delicious. Okay, it's getting a little portion. Okay, here.
What?
There you go. All right. Oops, let's see. It does look delicious. Definitely good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a winner. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and try the soup. I think it's very good. Definitely needs more salt. So let's get the salt. We didn't add much salt in the beginning because we weren't sure how much. So
What helps?
yeah, this is actually definitely really good. And we are expecting some big winter storm this weekend, so it will be good to have some soup on hand. All the stores are sold out of bread and milk because we're in the South, that whole thing.
Freak out.
Freak out. But anyway,
It's good.
oh,
It's a good recipe.
okay. So the verdict is 12 months of monastery soup, definitely for the win. I think it has a lot of potential.
Yep.
I think we'll be making more soup recipes from this book.
Let us know down in the comments what your favorite Catholic cookbook is, and maybe we'll try it out in the upcoming months.
So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.